Good evening. This is the meeting of the Community Partnership Committee. My name is William Roselle. It is 6:08, and to my left is Todd Sievert, member of the committee, and Jeffrey Schilling, the other member, is unavailable this evening. We are here to authorize the Director of Public Service and Safety to submit an application to the Ohio Department of Development Office of Community Development, OCD, for Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, Target Opportunity COVID-19 Response Funds for renovations to the Buckeye House located at 411 to 413 South Market Street. Any further details, Mr. Titterton?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. It is a Targets of Opportunity grant. It is provided by the COVID-19 response program. We did do a public hearing on this, and this project is what we are recommending. I think it was the only project that was submitted, and it is a worthy project that we feel confident will do well, and
Does it need
we want to
emergency?
ask you to recommend it so we can apply for it.
Does it need to be emergency?
It
Yes.
does need to be emergency so that we can keep on schedule with the CDBG program.
I guess that was the question, and I think it's been answered. So that's the only, so this was a submitted request. We didn't go out and say, hey, we have these funds to give to you.
We solicit, and we advertise, whether we led this one or they, the owners of this, they're always looking for CDBG money, but we do.
Yeah, but I thought there was a nod of the head. There was one applicant, and that's been this.
And that was it.
That's been these people. And we have to give the money away, right?
Well, we don't have to, but there's no reason not to.
That's what I mean.
Two valid projects, yes.
Just to clarify, this isn't our standard CDBG allocation funding that we normally get every 2 years. This is special COVID-19 funding that was given down from the federal government to the state of Ohio, and they call it Targets of Opportunity COVID-19 Response. We held our first public hearing last year in February to kind of cover that this funding's available, that's open to the public, and then the Family Abuse Shelter can contact us and say, hey, I'm interested, I've got an eligible project, because this is very specific to COVID-19. And so that's kind of how this all started. So the executive director of the Miami County Family Abuse Shelter contacted me. I looked into further, asked her questions to make sure that it was an eligible CDBG project, and it was. We submitted a pre-application to the state. They said, yes, this is eligible, and that's where we are today. And Patrick's shaking his head, keep it brief.
We're making it for Jeff. Mr. Twist?
It will run through the CB.
You want to be on record, don't you?
It will still run the same as a CBDG grant, even though it is a targeted, separate from
It
that. It's
follows
still
the
going to
same-
follows the same.
Follows the same
process.
rules, guidelines, and regulations.
Okay.
Anyone want to?
Yeah.
Mr. Phelps?
Thank you, sir. So it is targeted simply because it's the coronavirus, the CARES money. That's what it's, where it's coming from.
There are other Targets of Opportunity funds. That's kind of a category of funds. These funds were included in that pot, but specific to the COVID relief.
And this is just one grant application that is coming in with this amount of money. I mean, this is one project.
One project.
So are they applying through us or through the state?
No, they have to apply through us. The local entity has to be the sponsor of the project to the state, so we will administer it. We will coordinate it, make sure that they follow the guidelines.
And just to clarify, this is an open cycle. So it's not like there was a deadline to submit the application. If we have another eligible project that may, fall into these same parameters, they can come to us and request funding
That was my follow-up question, because since there's 27.2 million out there, if there's any other business in town or entity that is looking to do this through the CARES money, they should apply and
Definitely.
do it very soon.
Yep, it's first come, first served. There's no limit on this funding as far as the amount, as far as, be reasonable.
Right.
And there's no match requirement.
Got it, thank you very much.
So, is there a COVID requirement? Because there's a sentence in our information that says, the proposed renovations will improve safety for shelter residents and enable the FAS to comply with public health recommendations surrounding COVID in congregate settings. So is that a criteria for the Target of Opportunities funds, that it has to have some relationship to COVID?
So it's going to meet really two criteria. It's still going to meet the CDBG national
Sure.
objective, which it does with it being limited clientele, homeless. But it also has to meet a COVID-19, which we're talking about making improvements to the facility to make it social distancing, prevention, HVAC system improvement, that sort of thing.
But is that, I guess my question is that a requirement for a Target of Opportunity grant, that it has some mitigating factor for COVID?
That's correct.
Okay.
It does.
For this group.
Not in general, for this group.
For this group of CDBG
yes.
Yeah,
funding.
no, I understand, but because to Mr. Phillips's point, he said other businesses, and I'm sure other businesses can do it, but there has to be a correlation between what they're asking the funds for and some mitigation of COVID.
Correct.
Which would be along the same lines, HVAC, distancing
That's
as well, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else? Audience?
I move we go forward, and we proceed with emergency.
Move forward with emergency legislation? Anything else for the partnerships?
No, sir.
We are adjourned.
Thank you.